Hey everyone, Travis Gafford here at BlizzCon with coverage presented by Omen by HP. I'm joined right now by Tim Ismay, who's a senior game producer.
That's correct.
Senior game producer on StarCraft 2 to talk about some very cool news that's coming out here at BlizzCon, starting off with free-to-play. So for the first time ever, people are going to be able to dive in not just to some of the, like the starter experience, but also even more of the game. Do you want to talk to me a little bit about what you guys are unlocking for the free-to-play experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So the idea was to try and create as much of the gameplay as possible just to be available to people to jump into and play right away. As you mentioned, there was already a fair amount people could access through a starter account, but we felt just wasn't enough. So at every tier, we wanted to make sure that people could have a robust experience, starting with campaign. All of Wings of Liberty is free. If you already own Wings of Liberty, you're going to get Heart of the Swarm for free. If you want to play ranked games, unranked ladder, we're going to make completely free. Ranked is also going to be free, but you have to unlock it. You have to play 10 games, get 10 first win of the days. We felt that was a good barrier to avoid some trolling of people. But also it was kind of if you're a new player, maybe you should get a few wins before you jump into ranked anyways. And in co-op even, we're making it so that all of the commanders you can play up to level 5. And then Artanis, Raynor, and Kerrigan, you can play all the way to 15, just like it is now. But the idea is you can try all the commanders for free. And then, of course, our arcade will remain free as it has been.
Okay, so help me figure out what is not free. I know that leaves Legacy of the Void campaign and Heart of the Swarm if you don't have Wings of Liberty already. Is there anything else that is either not free or gated in any kind of way?
Well, there are still some cosmetic items that have gone up over time that are still going to be there that players can choose to purchase into. So there are a lot of skins that they can buy for units for multiplayer. There's also voice packs that you can get for your gameplay. We're going to be adding UI skins as actually one of the rewards for the next phase of War Chest. So the next War Chest that's coming out, for example, is something that is not free, specifically because we want to use it as a way to help fund the esports program and expand the prize pools at major esports tournaments.
Sure. I do want to ask you more about the War Chest and the esports initiatives in a second, but maybe just a quick chat about the free-to-play, or the decision to go free-to-play and the philosophy there. I think a lot of people feel, or when they read online, oh, this game went free-to-play, it's oftentimes in a situation where like the player base just hasn't gotten there, and they're hoping that this is like an alternative thing. Conversely, though, I read recently, and I don't know how official it was, that there's been a pretty static and good player base every month since StarCraft 2 came out. So my guess is it's not really that. So what really was the philosophy and decision in making the game go free to play?
So both of those things are actually true. So since StarCraft came out, we've seen a extremely devoted fan base. We've seen a very large amount of players that month to month just keep coming back, keep playing. Some of them are more engaged with different modes than others, but we have actually seen very consistent user engagement. That said, we wanted to aim for higher goals. We felt that in the long run, the health of StarCraft 2 as a franchise, as an esport, was just to have more eyes on it, have more people playing, right? The thing that gets you into wanting to watch some of the pros play is that you've played the game yourself. So the more people that have played that game, the bigger the audience is going to be. So we just thought about how can we get more people into this game, and the obvious answer was make it free, make it so people can just play it.
Do you guys have any hopes or expectations for something like this? Do you look at this and you're like, it's going to be free to play 20 times player concurrency on a day-to-day basis?
To be honest, we are really not sure. We have no idea. We know that there's going to be a bump. We know that there are a number of regions or demographics that are probably more likely to play if it goes free, but we have no idea how big it's going to get. I'll be honest, there are some people on the team that are hoping that yes, 20 times as many people will play StarCraft now.
Speaking of bumps, and again, before we move on to the esports stuff, I do just want to ask you really quickly, did the launch of StarCraft Remastered have any impact or any interesting effects on StarCraft 2, or did it seem to sort of sit in its own, kind of silo in terms of effect on StarCraft and interest and conversation, that kind of thing?
Well, we kind of braced ourselves because I'm not sure how much you read the many forums that are out there. There's Reddit and there's Team Liquid, and we have our own forums. We braced ourselves because we weren't sure. Again, are people going to shift one way or the other? What we found was it didn't have too big of an impact. There was obviously a big spike in people playing StarCraft 1.
Yeah.
A lot of people came back, tried it out. We saw a lot of viewership on StarCraft 1 as well. StarCraft 2, not too much of a shift. Once again, we were surprised to see that just our fan base is incredibly dedicated, and no matter what happens in the rest of the world, they just keep playing StarCraft.
That is a good situation for you guys to have such a hardcore, dedicated fan base. Now, speaking to the war chest that you were talking about earlier, so you guys already have had a war chest launch, yes. So you guys are coming out with the second. Mm-hmm. For those that don't know what the war chest is, maybe even are watching this interview having not played StarCraft 2 previously, but maybe interested in the fact that it'll be completely free to play now. What can you tell me? Can you kind of revise or give a re-explanation on what war chests are and kind of what you guys are doing with number 2?
Yeah, so there were 2 kind of big goals we were hoping to hit with war chest. The first one is that we wanted to use it as a way to fund esports in the long term, which it's already been successful at for this WCS final. So at BlizzCon final right now, the war chest sales allowed us to bump the prize pool from 500,000 to 700,000, which is the largest prize pool we've ever had for the WCS finals. So in that area, it's already a success for us, and we want to keep hitting that. For War Chest 2, we're actually hoping to expand it to add stretch goals so that there can be even more things that we end up funding through the War Chest. Now, on the other side of it, for the people that are buying into it, part of it I'm hoping they're buying in because they love StarCraft esports and they want to support it, but they also want to get something out of it too. So the side they get out of it is we wanted to give a way to get skins into the hands of players. So unit skins are something that people were asking for years. We finally got around to implementing a system for it and supporting it. And we started off by selling just sort of a few of them at a time. People liked it, but immediately they said, you know, I really like this skin. I'd like to have the same theme for my whole army. So we saw War Chest as a great way to build full armies of skins and give them away to players. So that's kind of what you're buying into, is a chance to, if you play the game regularly, unlock all these skins for your whole army.
Very, very cool. And so you'll have War Chest number 2 coming out. Is that out? When does that hit? When will people be able to get access to it? Do you know?
It's coming out in the very near future. I can't give a specific date, but it's right around the corner because we do want to use it as a method for funding Katowice. So it'll look for it very soon.
Very, very soon. Okay, cool. And then I am a huge co-op fan, and I play with a friend of mine every Christmas, which is, it's exciting for me to hear that there's some new stuff coming out soon. Can you revisit that for those that did not see the opening ceremony?
Of course. So for those who haven't already heard, we have a new commander that we announced at the show today, Han and Horner. When we were looking at Matt Horner originally as a Sky Terran commander, we thought that it made more sense to pair him with his better half, Mir Han. So we built this sort of hybrid mercenary army / Sky Terran commander, and we think it came out pretty awesome. A lot of the abilities are crazy over the top. We added some new units like the Assault Galleon, the Strike Fighter. We added a ability to teleport a space station into your enemy and explode it. A Call in the Fleet ability. If you've played Heroes of the Storm, you've seen Raynor's, Hyperion flying over the map shooting down. We thought, what if it was an entire fleet shooting from orbit? So you get that ability. So there's a lot of crazy stuff you can do. We've seen the reaction to co-op be very strong. I'm glad that you're playing it. I also love it. I got all my commanders maxed out. I'm waiting for this one. Because of the huge feedback we see from the community of how much they're loving it and how much we see players engaging with it, we're planning to keep coming out with commanders for, well, maybe forever. We'll see. Yeah.
Maybe forever. That would be great for me. Every Christmas, I could just keep playing. I mean, are there any interesting lessons you can share with me? Because I do find that it feels like in the beginning, a lot of the commanders were kind of fun, but now you guys are maybe taking more chances with them. Mm-hmm. I see zanier setups and more unique ways of, you've got commanders that are just sacrificing their units and their armies just there to bolster them. What has the process been like in sort of iterating on these commanders and coming up with different ones so frequently now?
Your observations are very accurate. We started out with things that we felt were powerful, but shall we say kind of safe, right? So you got Raynor acting as a kind of a bio commander, and we thought, but maybe you can also build some battle cruisers and tanks, throw a little bit of spice in there, but Hyperion call down, that's cool. And as we've gone further and further with it, we've really felt that capturing the fantasy is important with every commander that we have, but we also want their gameplay to always feel unique. The further you go, the more you have to push the boundaries. And we've kind of just decided there's no limit. If you need to push them more, you push them more. So Han and Horner, I think, is a great example of that, where we decided, you're going to have this flying starport that can build on the move, and it can fire, and it has drones so it can attack. So it's kind of just everything in this one unit. Also, you've got these little bombers that can just drop napalm anywhere on the map. And you got a Raven that has a radar that can actually see everything under the fog of war, so you can see where your bombers have to get. And it's crazy, right? It's stuff that we never would have let happen originally. But at this point, if you come up with a cool idea and it's fun to play, we do it. We just do it.
The pace that you have been releasing commanders at, should we expect that to remain the same over time, or is there a plan to maybe increase this for next year? What can fans of the commander system hope for?
So we've tried to set a consistently higher bar in how much polish we're putting into each of these commanders. So we are actually trying to do more art, more original stuff on each one of them. I can't commit to an exact timeline, but I would say that we are trying to get them out as fast as we can. That said, because of the higher bar, I'm not sure exactly how many we'll get out next year, but we will try to get out as many as we can.
I would appreciate that. That would be very much appreciated. Is there anything for any of the people that are watching this interview that maybe even haven't had a chance to try StarCraft 2 before and are interested in the fact that it's free to play, or even any of the loyal StarCraft fans? Anybody, anything out there that you would like to add, or anything that you'd like to say to anyone?
Sure. One thing I'd like to say, because I think it'll probably come up, is there will probably be some players out there that are thinking, I've been a StarCraft 2 player forever, ever. Do I get anything cool with this great transition? Honestly, the focus of the transition to free-to-play is much more about bringing new people into the community, getting more people you can play with. But we did actually want to add a little something for our guys who have been playing a while. As I mentioned before, if you own Wings of Liberty but you don't have Heart of the Swarm yet, we'll be giving it to you for free. On top of that, we're going to have a Founders Pack, so that if you own StarCraft in any capacity, you're going to get a free skin for your Ghost that's unique. It's the only way that you can get it is by already having StarCraft when this happens, and a few free portraits as well that, again, will be unique to just those who helped support StarCraft before it was free to play.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you so much for the interview. Great to hear about what's next for StarCraft 2. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of our coverage of all things BlizzCon right here on my YouTube channel. Thanks so much to Omen for supporting our content this weekend. They are now an official Overwatch League partner. Be sure to follow them over at Omen by HP on Twitter for more updates.